Hello again, fellow audiophiles. I am Wave Theory, and on my head is the Noble FoKus Apollo, a $650 wireless Bluetooth active noise-canceling headphone. This was a kind loan to me from a friend of the channel. It will not be mine. It will be going back to my friend here very soon, so I do not get to keep it. All thoughts you are about to hear are mine and mine alone. Noble Audio does not know that I have this, nor does any retailer who carries it. A couple of those retailers I am affiliate link member or partners with, so I will put a couple of affiliate links labeled as such down in the description below, where if you like what I have to say about this product, you can use one of those affiliate links and I will get a small kickback to help keep the channel running, and I only use affiliate link money to support the channel and keep this effort running. The type of product that this is, being a Bluetooth active noise canceling headphone that's only about $100 more than Apple's AirPods Max, it might attract some viewers that are not familiar with my channel. If you are here to hear about like the microphone performance of this or how it does with phone calls, this is not the channel for that. I'm going to do a deep dive on the fidelity of this piece in terms of its ability to reproduce music. That's what I care about the most. That's what I'm most interested in. I think that's what most of my core audience is mostly interested in. So if you're here for call quality, microphone quality, etc., we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this as a music listening experience in the travel settings, okay, and on the go, because it is an active noise canceling Bluetooth can. All right, so let's do shameless self-promotion, and then we will get into all of that.
Hello. I'm one of the reasons that Wave Theory can't spend all of his money on audio gear. He wants you to know that your support is vital for keeping the channel running. So if you enjoy Wave Theory's bussin' review riz and no-cap review style and want to encourage him to stay in the basement so I don't have to listen to his dad jokes as much, like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also send him a donation on PayPal or sign up for the Patreon. Links are in the description. Now on to the review.
All right, we'll do an overhead view for the bulk of this video here, just because I think with these more portable use intended units, it's better to get a good up close and personal look at them and so forth. Let me go ahead and get my bottom line thoughts on this out of the way, and then we'll talk specs and packaging and sound and all of that good stuff. It's okay, right? There's nothing really wrong with this. It is not outright bad. I don't find the listening experience to be particularly compelling or very engaging, but at the same time, again, it's competent. It's okay, right? It's not outright bad either. What got to me with it is that it was just always like kind of just right there, skirting the line of what could become a very interesting, compelling, natural listening experience, but it just doesn't quite get there. The materials, first rate. The build and the comfort, I think, are not all that great, at least not for my head, when it comes to long-term comfort. I think it has some issues there, which we will talk about. My prediction on the FoKus Apollo is that it's going to end up being a bit of a flavor of the month type piece, okay? Let's unpack all of this here throughout the video. So, specs on this thing while I've got the headphone here in front of you. Again, $649. It has a driver array in each side. So each cup has two drivers, a 40mm dynamic driver and then a 14.5mm planar magnetic driver in there working together. And the idea there was Noble wanted to combine the bass performance of a dynamic driver with the clarity and the speed and the detail of a planar magnetic driver. I don't think they quite captured that part of planar magnetic tech. I'll explain why as the review unfolds. This does support Bluetooth version 5.3 and will also work with the LDAC, AAC, aptX, aptX HD, and SBC codecs. So it covers a lot of the bases there. It has active noise canceling in it as well, and it does what they call a hybrid active noise canceling. Did I say anti-noise canceling? Anyway, active noise canceling. in there, and that there are microphones on the outside of the cup and then also on the inside of the cup, both working together to cancel out ambient noise there. Battery life on this thing, the rating is incredibly high, but even in practice, I was quite impressed with its battery life. So I think these are probably pretty close to legit numbers. They claim 80 hours of use without ANC activated and 60 hours of use with ANC activated. And again, I found the battery life to be pretty outstanding. So that is a mark in its favor for an OTG kind of traveling kind of headphone too. So there are a lot of the specs and the features. Again, it will support USB DAC performance there, so you can plug this USB-C port here is not just for charging, it is also to be a USB DAC. There is both a microphone and an aux input on the thing. There's an attached boom mic, or it comes with a boom mic that I will show you here in a moment. Let's see. Okay, control buttons, the power on, off, and connect. Here you cycle through the ANC options, all that. I believe this is the phone call answering button over here, and mic mute. Yep, okay, right here. Camera is not focusing on that very well. Okay, anyway, so I mean, the headphone itself is well made and it looks good. We've got like this gunmetal gray kind of here, and this is metal. Right? I mean, and it feels like metal. It's got good quality materials and build on it. We have protein leather here on the ear pads, which are nice and soft. Okay, and they do a fairly good job of sealing on the side of the head and keeping ambient noise out. We have whatever this material is here. I'm not sure why they coated it differently right there, but you know, different kind of material there and so forth. I guess while I'm here, I'll talk about the comfort issues that I mentioned here. The padding, the headband, you know, I just don't really like the way it sits on the top of the head. I got a hot spot up here. It needs a little bit more padding, and like the comfort issues are a little bit improved by adjusting head size and all of that, but I just didn't find it particularly comfortable to wear for long periods of time, which is unfortunate for like an on-the-go kind of headphone. So comfort is definitely going to be on the head of the beholder, but I mean this design just didn't work for me all that well comfort-wise. Again, your head will be of different shapes, so your mileage may vary there. What are the other notable features? I guess while I'm here talking about the headphone, the active noise canceling on it, there's a couple of different modes, and then there's also an ambient feature where you can pipe out outside noise in through here. Probably good if you're wearing this while cycling, because then you can hear everything that's going on around you too. Or you know, or you could go full ANC if you're on an airplane or on the city bus or whatever. Block out a fair amount of the noise. I thought the active noise canceling on this was pretty solid. It like took out, like if I had a fan going in the room, or like my dishwasher was on in the kitchen and I was at the dining room table, which is, you know, not very far away. Like it took out the dishwasher noise, it took out the fan noise. It will do pretty well for airplane noise, train noise, that sort of thing. It's the active noise canceling on this is pretty good. I will give it credit there. It's not quite Bose or Sony good, but it's quite solid and pretty impressive. All right, in that regard there too. So the comfort is an issue for me. It's not horrible, but I just physically didn't enjoy wearing it for long periods of time, which again is a problem. But it is a well-made headphone with good-looking materials and that sort of thing on there as well. Now, while I'm here, I might as well talk about the issue with the USB DAC. Okay, it will only do 16-bit 48 kilohertz audio in USB DAC mode. So no pass-through for high-res audio or anything like that. And if you plug this in via USB to your computer or a smartphone or whatever, that device will have to resample all of the digital audio to 16-bit 48 kilohertz audio to go through the DAC here. And I'm not sure why they did that, but that is what they did. And that really limits a lot of its functionality, I think, unfortunately, because I think this probably could have been a little bit more solid overall product if it were, you know, supported different sampling rates. You could do bit perfect audio via the USB connection, but alas, it does not have that. All right. Let me get the packaging. Let's go ahead and take a look at the carrying case and talk about actually using this thing. All right, here's the carrying case that it comes in, and I pulled the camera back a little bit so it even fits into the frame. This carrying case is on the big side. I mean, here it is next to my hands. I don't have particularly large hands, but I mean, it's not just big in those dimensions. Like, it's thick too. Like, it's almost as wide as my palm. Okay, in there, pretty close. Anyway, and it therefore takes up some room. Like, I would not consider this an overly travel-friendly case. I mean, it has a handle, so I guess there's that. But, like, I don't think this is very suitcase or backpack-friendly if you are on the go. Compare it with, it's long in the tooth now, and they may have changed the design, but this is the case for my old Sony WH-1000XM3, right? One of those, you know, Sony was once upon a time Sony's flagship ANC Bluetooth can. And just look at the size difference here between the cases, right? The Sony's case is far more, put it in your backpack or your suitcase or your briefcase and take it with you kind of size. The Noble is a little bit on the big side. The Noble is much closer to FoKal's case that they give you with, like, their Radiance, for example. My Radiance is in here, okay? And, you know, it's not, it's a wired can, and you can just see that the case size here, like, the Noble is much closer in size to what you get with a FoKal case like that. So the friendliness of transport, not necessarily there as far as the case goes. All right, but let's look inside at how this is packed up. Like, it is a very protective case. Holds the headphone in there nice and securely, and then you get this pouch that has all of the accessories. Okay, nice like velvet lining in here and all of that. So it's nice. It's just, I don't think particularly well thought out as far as traveling with it goes. Okay, this pouch is full of all the accessories, and they are really tightly wound and bound together in there, so they kind of all pop out of this little tiny pouch when you get one of them out. Let's move the camera in closer and get a better look at these. Airplane adapter, okay, that's handy. 4.4 millimeter Pentacon to 3.5 millimeter single-ended adapter in a right angle here, so that's nice too, even if it does look like a futuristic ray gun, maybe a hairdryer, okay, in that shape there. All right, 3.5 millimeter to 6.35 millimeter, or, you know, 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch adapter plug. All right, and then this tangle of things here is the boom mic that I mentioned earlier that's got, you know, this nice, easy to shape kind of thing here. You plug this in to the headphone itself there, and yeah, you get boom mic. Nice for, like, if you're a gamer or you take a lot of calls, you might like that. Okay, 2 cords that got tangled up with each other in there, in that pouch, because it's a tight pouch. And what they are is still tangled. Okay, here we go. Got it. All right. USB-C to USB-C, it's about 1 meter long for charging, and also if you want to use the USB DAC mode, there it is, just standard USB-C, USB-C cable, and then another about 1 meter long, but like very memory. Okay, lots of memory in this cord here, but 3.5 millimeter TRRS to 3.5 millimeter TRRS. Okay, here this is the auxiliary cable, and it's TRRS not because it's balanced, but because of the microphone in there. So it's TRS, or single-ended, as far as like audio playback is concerned, and then you get the microphone connectivity on the 4th connector there. So that's the packaging. And as I said, I mean, just these wires, just not exactly pleasant. So if you're going to use these on the go, just know that they do get tangled up on each other. I do like that there's a boom mic here. I really don't know how well it performs. I haven't really had a chance to test it, but it's there. Okay, and I personally am not super concerned about how well it performs because I just don't really use those kinds of things. All right, let's talk about the sound of this then. So for test gear, like how I got sound to it, I tried all three of the main modes in terms of Bluetooth, USB, and wired passive connection. Okay, and so the tests I used for that, so for Bluetooth, it was primarily connected to my Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus smartphone, which is doing the filming right now. And that would have been running primarily Rune Arc, which I would have listened to lossless or high-res FLAC files or DSD files as a Rune endpoint through Rune Arc, and then connected to my phone via the LDAC Bluetooth codec. For USB, I did direct USB connection from this to the same phone using Rune Arc, and then I also connected this to my Asus ZenBook Windows 11 laptop, used the laptop as a Rune endpoint, and tested it that way. Both of those devices, the S22 Plus and the Asus ZenBook laptop, confirmed that this thing will only do 48 kilohertz sampling rates from the USB connection, which is a bit disappointing. Okay, but that is the reality. And then for passive, I just went way over the top here. I plugged this into my LTA Z10E headphone amp. Well, it's a speaker headphone amp, but into the headphone output of that amplifier, which was fed by a Lampezator Baltic 3 DAC, which was in turn fed via USB by a Svanar Ultra Rendu streamer. Okay. What did I observe here? The sonic behavior changes a little bit when when active noise canceling is on versus off. For music quality, for sound quality, ANC off is the better option. It's not that ANC on makes it sound bad. I don't think it sounds quite as good with the ANC on, but it does sound different. Okay. So let's start there. Different how so? The normal sound of this without any active noise canceling going on or that sort of thing is neutral warm, I would say, it with a high-end roll-off. Okay, so it's in the range that I think most people would consider neutral. It's got fairly good tonal balance through the mid-range and the bass, and even the treble is fairly well tonally balanced. I think the tuning is mostly pretty solid on this, actually. But then it has that upper frequency roll-off, so not great upper range frequency extension. It does have a little bit of sub-bass roll-off, but nothing severe. I don't think it's going to bother most people for most material on there. But the overall sonic character and flavor just tilts warm. Okay, so in the range of neutral, leaning warm. So there's a little bit more presence in the upper bass, lower mid-range in there that gives it a nice warmth and fullness kind of to its sound and its presentation. Okay, and I like the tonal balance on it. The relationship between fundamental frequencies and their harmonics is actually fairly natural and realistic on here until you turn the ANC on. And it doesn't completely destroy it, but what ANC does is it narrows the soundstage for one thing, and then it also brings the mid-range forward in terms of perceived frequency response. There becomes a peak in the mid-range, which does bring back some of the shout and the honk that headphones can often have in there, and so that comes out here with the ANC on. So I personally would only use ANC when you really need it, okay, because it sounds better without it, plus you get more battery life. Okay, so that was my observations on that. Again, the ANC performance itself, like how well does it actively cancel noises? Pretty good. Not Bose or Sony good, but not far behind either, right? So I mean, that's pretty solid. I'm talking about the sound of the music when the ANC is on here. Okay. What really lets the sound of this down, I think, is that it's just not very resolving. Even for a Bluetooth can, and then, like, I mean, it just doesn't have a whole lot of detail or resolution in it. And it doesn't seem to matter whether that's in Bluetooth or in USB mode or in completely passive mode. I mean, like that passive mode that I talked about with the Lampizator amp and the Lampizator DAC and the LTA amp, that is an incredibly resolving chain. And this just doesn't have it. Okay, it just doesn't really have a whole lot of resolution up there. It's not completely devoid of it, but I think what really prevented me from getting into this is that even for a Bluetooth device, it just didn't have a lot of the details that I need in the sound to really engage with it and enjoy it. It just didn't really have them. So it just sounds a little bit over smoothed, it lacks some texturing and that sort of thing. And again, I wish I could tell you that that's just when it was in Bluetooth mode. But it's not. It happens when it's in USB mode, and it happens in passive mode too, where I just never really heard a big quality difference happen in any of those modes. So I think you get this to use it as a Bluetooth headphone. I think the USB mode on this and the passive mode are just, forget them, right? They just are not particularly helpful. They don't do anything for you other than maybe the USB mode. Like if you're having trouble with the Bluetooth connection, or you know, you like the lower latency for gaming or something, the USB mode might be good for that. But in terms of just musical fidelity, they don't do anything. All right. The sonic strength of this, though, like other than the tuning, which is pretty good, okay, overall, I think fairly natural and all of that, especially with ANC off. The other aspect of this, and I think this has to do with the dual driver configuration in there, is it sound stages pretty well. It manages to be not so much in the head, right, with its sound stage. So it does kind of project the music out in front of the head a little bit, okay? Not, you know, not all that great, but it's there. And it, again, manages to avoid that in the head kind of feel to it. And it must be because those planar drivers are like positioned towards the front in here. I don't know exactly how it's done, but they are probably positioned a little bit towards the front here and angled a little bit to get that effect going on in there. So that is one strength that this has, is it's one of the better staging Bluetooth cans that I have heard out there, I mean, period. The imaging and the separation, though, are not all that great, and I think that comes back to the resolution. You do need a fair amount of resolution to be very holographic in the sound, and again, even for a Bluetooth device, I just didn't find the resolution on this to be all that great. So I mentioned earlier that like that Noble wanted the clarity and the speed of a planar magnetic driver, and they just didn't get it. Like this just doesn't resolve particularly well. All right, I will stop beating that dead horse for at least 3 or 4 sentences. Okay, another strength though is the dynamics, particularly in the bass. There is a good healthy thump and slam to it here. So if you like hip hop, EDM, you know, those kinds of things, like these can be engaging in terms of like how hard they hit and the fun impactfulness of the low end, okay, on there as well. So that is another strength of the sound on these. But again, as I've mentioned already, I just didn't find the overall presentation to be all that compelling, regardless of how I got music into it. And so like for like comparisons, like why did I never find this particularly engaging and all of that? Other Bluetooth, like hi-fi tilted, like or like targeting the hi-fi audiophile market Bluetooth devices I have heard include the Bathys, which is a headphone, also active noise canceling, and like the HiFiMan Svanar wireless, okay, a true wireless IEMs and all of that in there. And the Bathys is $150 more than this. This one stages better than the Bathys, and I think has a little bit more dynamic impact in the low end. So those are the good traits, the things that it has above the Bathys. The Bathys has a better carrying case for on-the-go travel use. Like that's, go watch my video and review on that, because that has a much better case for that. Okay. But the Bathys has a better USB implementation, and it sounded better from the USB connection than it did from the Bluetooth, even though Bluetooth was already pretty good. This one supports more Bluetooth codecs, though, if that matters to you. The Bathys had more resolution from memory, and it just engaged me more. I enjoyed listening to the Bathys in a way that I don't with this one. I mean, that's just how it is for me. Whether it was in Bluetooth or the USB wired mode, the Bathys just engaged me, and I enjoyed listening to it more, and I would have been happy to keep that one around. This one, I won't miss it when it's gone, okay? Frankly, I just won't. And then the Svanar wireless is an IEM. So it's a different kind of product. It's a true wireless IEM, so it travels a lot better than these do. It is a different experience because it is an IEM, but I bring it up because of the Bluetooth performance again. Both the Bathys and the Svanar wireless are much more resolving than this one is, even in Bluetooth mode. So while Bluetooth has gotten a lot better, it's still not as good as wired. But while Bluetooth fidelity has improved a lot, this one has not kept up to my ears, and I think that's what's hurting it the most, in my opinion. Okay, so two quick comparisons there just to kind of help place this in the market. Is this $100 better than Apple AirPods Max? I don't know. I haven't heard Apple AirPods Max, so I can't say. All right, maybe someday I'll get to hear one of those. I don't know. But like my final thoughts on this one then, just to kind of come back to it. It does have a pleasant, pleasing, smooth, non-fatiguing listening experience. Like just for pure music listening, you can, at least I could, my ears could listen to this for a long time without fatigue. I would become physically uncomfortable with the hot spot on the head and the way this fit on the side of my head, just the physical comfort of it, I would get tired of much quicker than I would get tired of like any kind of fatigue from the audio itself. But then the audio listening experience for me was just kind of meh. Right? It wasn't outright bad, it just was not particularly engaging or compelling, and certainly not as engaging or compelling as some other audiophile-leaning Bluetooth devices that I have heard out there, such as the FoKus Bathys or the HiFiMan Svanar wireless IEMs, right? That's what I keep coming back to on this, is it just is a bit of a letdown in terms of the quality of the sound, particularly from a resolution standpoint. And that resolution hurts it in other ways. Like even though it stages out in front of the head, it's not particularly holographic. Okay, the imaging and the separation are just kind of it's wall of sound. There's like no depth to it or anything like that, where those other Bluetooth devices, even in their Bluetooth modes, were able to be a little bit more holographic. Even if they were staging in the head, they were still more holographic than this is capable of. And that trait, holography, is connected in some way to resolution and detail retrieval to be able to do it. Okay, so there it is. There are going to be some people who like this where they aren't worried about the details, and it's going to be physically comfortable enough for them, and they're going to like it, and that's great. Enjoy it. I think it's more of a bit of a flavor of the month product. I don't see it getting a huge market share in the long run. Okay, those are just my honest thoughts on it. So I'm Wave Theory. Thanks for watching my review of the Noble FoKus Apollo Bluetooth active noise canceling headphone. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, check out my PayPal and my Patreon. Generally do those things you do to support YouTube channels, and as always, enjoy the music.